What got you interested in coaching?
Um, well, I've been kind of like I've played Overwatch for a while
Hmm.
since Overwatch 1, and I kind of recently the start of Overwatch 2 and the end of Overwatch 1, I've my ranks have been climbing a rank almost every season until I hit Masters, I think 2 seasons ago, so maybe seasons 3
Hmm.
in Overwatch 2. And I kind of like that's where I hit a brick wall and I don't really know what to look at to improve because I feel like I don't know, I feel like I need something on a higher level to improve
Sure.
it,
Makes
maybe the
sense.
higher level.
Well, congratulations on Masters. First off,
Thank
that's
you.
obviously you're officially quite good at the game. How long have you been playing?
I think I've been playing. I played on Xbox and then I switched over to PC. Probably I don't know, maybe 2018,
Okay. What made you
2017.
swap over?
Um, I was I was interested in a PC. I was always a console person
Hmm.
until um I don't really remember. I swapped a while ago. Probably I think I maybe swapped 2019.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It was just something like you were kind of I saw it as you were able to play like a lot of more games on PC, and I didn't really
Yeah,
think of it in a more competitive sense.
makes
But
sense. Makes sense. Okay. So you're a Cassidy main. How long have you been on the hit scan train? Because obviously that transition happened a long, long time ago for you in terms of the console swap. But what about
yeah, I've pretty much played Cassidy I mean kind of my whole Overwatch career. Like I kind of so like when I first started Overwatch, I kind of went to Cassidy first because I I enjoyed his whole I don't know, I like the Western vibe, I
you?
guess,
Yeah, I got you.
of
Clint Eastwood.
those type of games.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Um, and then I obviously the gameplay has to appeal to you as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have stuck around as long as you have. So, what about his kit do you enjoy?
I really liked in Overwatch 1. I liked the playmaking ability that Cassidy has. I think
Hmm.
that he's kind of like I guess in my mind like he's a character that you can do a lot of stuff on your own
Hmm.
or even just with like a mercy on you and I really like being able to like make a game changing like I don't know anything happen with like flashbang or like cancel Reinhardt slam or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, what about Overwatch 2?
Yeah, it is disappointing, but I mean I still enjoy playing Cassidy. I also I feel like he has kind of a high skill ceiling in the aim sense.
Yeah, for
Like you
sure.
have to have kind of high accuracy for him.
Hmm.
I've kind of done that like during all the games that I play, like in Call of Duty. I really enjoyed really the first thing I got into gaming was like sniping and
Hmm.
making like getting lots of feeds and stuff. So
Makes sense.
I feel like he can kind of it's like a hard character to master. So I don't
Appealing.
know, maybe a self accomplishment, I guess.
Yeah, of course, of course. And you said you play a little bit of Soldier Ash, and then at least at the time of the forum, you were putting a little bit of time to try to figure out Tracer too. That's still the case.
Not anymore. I like kind of my ego kind of got the better of myself. I was kind of dropping ranks with Tracer, which I mean, obviously I expected
Yeah.
because I'm gonna be worse with her than Cassidy, and she's harder to play. I haven't played much of her this season, but also because of the Cassidy buff with Hinder. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think it's something I look forward to learning,
Sure, sure.
just not right now.
It might be something that I'm not usually a huge alt account guy, but
Hmm.
if you feel like your Tracer play is like, I don't know, plat, right?
Yeah,
It might not be good practice for you to bring her into a Masters game just because
right.
you're going to get turbo stomped so hard. It's going to be like demotivating.
Yeah,
You want it to be challenging, if you like say your tracer was like mid diamond level, high diamond level, maybe you were just a little rusty with her. You know, just take the L. You know, drop a little bit, go back at it. But if it's like, ugh, it might feel real bad. And then what would happen is in games you'd want to play some Cassidy, you'd be like smurfing and it would be boring and like yeah. So maybe just something to kind of keep in mind. Okay, so what do you hope to get out of the session? Training and warm-up routines to help me improve. Tips on how to be more consistent. Well, let's start with a training and warm-up routine. So what do you mean exactly with training and warm-up routines? Like, just be very specific.
So I think one of my big problems is like my, I don't know, like my warm up. Like I see that if I like once I start playing the first couple of games, it's like my record is on the losing side. But as I kind of get up, it takes a while for me to get to somewhere where I would say like this is the level I play at usually, if that makes sense. Like I don't know like what I should do to kind of like do something quick to warm up, like whether I should do that in game, out of game with aim trainers, and I also with the training routine thing, I was just like as a longer term thing, I guess, on how
Sure.
to.
Well, you've tried something, I assume, for a warm up.
Yeah,
What have you tried?
I've tried. I have a few custom games codes that I try. I came across some TikToks like this one soldier player. I don't know the name on top of his head. He's just some TikToker, but the way he practices is he goes into a custom game, um, where it's just like characters moving like strafing, and you can edit how good they are.
Sure.
About a couple hours, will you help take care of your sister?
Yeah, I do. Um,
Do you have the code for that custom game?
I do. Let me find it. Anyway, he said that like he practices on a higher sensitivity for a couple minutes and then goes down so he feels more stable. If that makes sense. And
Yeah,
I was trying that.
I hear you. Yeah, kind of gimmicky, to be honest with you. I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Anything that sounds a little out of the usual, just shoot it my way, and I'll give you my input. It's kind of funny because I do a lot of like athletic training stuff as well, and this kind of stuff like makes its rounds all the time.
Yeah.
So it's fine. You know, some of it's helpful, some of it's not. Do you have the code, or you dig it up for me if you can? Or any of the codes you use for warm up, and I can go through and let you know my thoughts.
Oh, here we go. All right. All right. Here's the code.
Okay.
Just off my preset. I didn't change anything, but
Okay, perfect. Let me. Let's see here. Oh, this is Vaxta. Yeah, this is Vaxta. Yeah, Vaxta's good for Cassidy. Basically, you can you can set the movement speed or whatever, and then you have lots of different hitboxes. And then because you're just a point and click character and they're 80-80 strafing, there's really not a lot to it. Now, I wouldn't recommend this warm up for somebody that was like playing like a Genji or a Tracer or a tank. But if you're just point and shoot, this code is great. Not to mention you get to do this. This is like who does but yeah, no, this code will be an excellent warm up for you. How often do you use this code?
I did for a little bit. I stopped using it as much, and I just kind of started just like queuing as soon as I got on.
Sure. But that might be a problem.
Yeah.
What I would recommend for you, here's what I would recommend. So there's two different things you can use for warm up, all right, that I would recommend for a Cassidy player. That code right there is really quite good. There's another one actually that I would recommend trying by, I don't know if you've heard of IOStux.
I don't think so.
All right, let me send you his little video here. So it's called an acceleration code, or acceleration warm up, JPYHG. I'm just gonna read it out to you just in case anybody watching the video wants to know. And what this does is this is very similar to Vaxta, but the movement accelerates as you get better and better and better and hit more and more shots. So like, my aim is terrible, but like, let's say like here, it's like, oh hey, look, there's me. Bang, 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 and then they get slowly better, and then slowly more, and then slowly, basically what happens is it ends up going faster and faster and faster and faster. You see the enemy speed at the top is at 70% and then 50%. You see that? They'll throw in jumps as well. You can also disable, I think, the jumps as well. Wait, can you? You'd be able to. But there's like a, press A and T to toggle anti-jump. But basically what this code does, as opposed to Vaxta, is it incorporates people moving faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. So you have to be more and more and more precise as you get better, if that makes any sense. I would give both this and Vaxta a shot, and if available, I would go into custom games and I would search tryhard. There's no tryhard FFA right now, sadly, but sometimes there'll be a tryhard free-for-all deathmatch. That's a really good warm-up. And worst case scenario, you can go into unranked and go deathmatch free-for-all, and that's pretty good too. You'll get a lot of good practice 1v1ing people and stuff like that, and it's like instant respawn, way better than quick play for warm-up. So that Vaxta, basically your code, and then tryhard FFA in custom games or unranked deathmatch. And the reason why I recommend tryhard or unranked deathmatch as being potential options, and honestly even IOStux, is here's a question for you: why do you sometimes just jump into ranked without warm up? Are you bored?
Yeah, I kind of do get bored with aim, and I don't really like. I don't know when to stop. I guess, because I don't know when to like. I don't know when I'm seeing that I'm warmed up. I guess
I got exactly. You really can't tell for sure. You could feel a little bit more alert, but it's not like a physical warm up where you actually feel warm, right? It's sometimes a little bit harder to tell your mental acuity at that point in time. How long in the past, when you were like a little bit more dedicated, how long did you warm up?
Maybe 10 minutes. 15.
Yeah, that's more than enough. So 5, 10, 15 minutes. One unranked deathmatch, 5, 10 minutes of Vaxta. Honestly, you could do a couple of these codes. Do 5 of one, 5 of the other. Try 5 minutes of tryhard FFA, 5 minutes of Vaxta. Just give yourself some options and keep it fresh, just so that you don't get too bored. And on a day where you really feel bored and don't feel like warming up at all, make yourself do it, but only do 5 minutes. You can do anything for 5 minutes, right? Put on a song, put on some music, put on a podcast or whatever. I mean, honestly, and just roll with it. That would be my recommendation for better consistency. Sound good?
Yep.
So all this 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how bored you are.
Yeah.
Because I get it too. I'm like, man, I'm good. But 5 minutes, it works. And for you knowing, how do I know when I'm warmed up? You don't. You won't. But 5 minutes of aiming activity is going to be better than 0 minutes of aiming activity, especially given how intensive those 5 minutes will be. It's like shoot, constant shooting, right? So just 5 minutes is better than none. Don't worry if am I warm? Just do what you got, live with the results. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Going on to your next question, you had a question about training and warm-up routines to help you improve. Was it training more like aim training or just like competitive play training or anything specific?
When I typed that, I meant aim training, but yeah, I guess both. I don't really know, like I don't know, because I've seen the argument of like aim trainers are good, aim trainers are like gonna destroy your aim, like stuff like that. And
It's nuanced.
I don't really know which one.
It's nuanced. I would say for Overwatch specifically, because the aiming is so unique to the hero that you're playing, and also because the movement of the characters that you're playing is unlike anything that you're going to find in an aim trainer, right? I mean, just even Vaxta doesn't really do it justice, right? Then I would say try to stick without aim trainers if you can.
Okay.
But because you're playing a lot of Cassidy, Ashe, and Soldier, those heroes aren't terrible. Like if you want to do aim training for fun, don't feel like, oh no, this is like really gonna mess me up. It's fine. It's fine. Now, if you were playing Tracer or Genji, I would say don't even bother at all with aim trainers, because those heroes just move in a totally different fashion. But if you want to play aim trainers for fun and you want to give it a shot, that's fine. I'm just telling you, it's not going to improve your aim that much. Just do it because it's fun.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, and then general training routine. We'll get to that in a second. Tips on how to be more consistent. Okay, we'll get to that, I think, later too. Help point out your mistakes. Obviously, we'll definitely get to that later. What is your hero pool and rank? We talked about that. Percentage-wise right now. So you said you kind of dumped Tracer, but what's Cassidy percentage-wise compared to Soldier, Ashe, or anything else that's happened in the last couple of weeks?
I think it's mainly Cassidy. I did play. Let's see. So right now in this competitive season, I got 18 hours of competitive and then 1 hour on Ashe. So it's mostly Cassidy.
Okay, sounds good. He's pretty
yeah.
flexible. Long-term, short-term goals. Small main goal of mine is to improve my consistency in Overwatch, because that is something I struggle a lot with. Talk to me about your consistency. You talked a little bit about it with your aim. Sometimes it feels like it takes you a little bit to kind of get engaged. We gave you some warm-up stuff to maybe improve that a little bit. What else? Or is that mostly it? Just the aim?
That is kind of mostly it. I sometimes when I go into games and like for some reason I expect myself to hit all of my shots with Cassidy. I mean, obviously, like even when you miss shots, it doesn't mean you're doing bad. But when I miss shots, it discourages me, and then I get in a bad mindset mid game, I guess.
Yep. Let me pull up something. This is a discussion that I have a lot. If it makes you feel any better, because even myself, like I find myself like some days it feels it, some days it doesn't, and a lot of aiming is psychological, right? But a lot of consistency is psychological too, because what ends up happening is this is my favorite chart ever in the history of the universe. This is your play, all right? Always. Always. It will always be like that for the rest of your life, in everything that you do, pretty much, with very few exceptions. You'll have days where you wake up, you studied hard for the test, and you just couldn't quite remember the answers, right? That's just how it is. Now, if you work really, really hard, your floor is not going to be that low, right? You're still going to know enough answers and do well enough. But everybody has inconsistency with everything you do. It's just the nature of being human. The problem that you said, which was very insightful of you to pick up on, is that what happens is you will catch yourself like here, right? Oh crap, I'm not hitting shots. And then you get discouraged. And then now this crevasse is no longer here. This crevasse drops down to here. You see this?
Right.
And that's what happens, because you get discouraged, you get frustrated. So what you need to understand is that, first off, a lot of your inconsistency might not even necessarily mean that you're on a downward spiral. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. A lot of it is just that, like, for example, like your aim. Overwatch is this is kind of a weird way of putting it, but it's a two-dimensional aim game in terms of not like the physical aiming environment, but there's two factors that are involved, okay? One is your aim. The second is the movement of the person that you're trying to shoot, okay? So let's say that you're in a higher elo game and you're trying to headshot tracers. How is your aim going to feel in that situation?
Not good.
Not good, right? Because they have very complete control, no movement conservation. They just stop on a dime. You're going to feel like your aim is bad, even though your aim is maybe exactly the same that it was the previous game. Maybe even better than the previous game, but it feels worse. And then you're going to have games where you're in a diamond lobby and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like killing everybody. My aim feels great. And it's like a confidence boost, right? But the reality of your aim hasn't really changed. It's just your perception of that reality. You're going to feel slow in fast environments, and you're going to feel fast in slow environments. That's just how it is. So for you, it's like, and also a lot of it's RNG, right? Like, let's say that tracer just happens to make that right juke, right? At that moment, and you miss the shot, where like in any other circumstance, a tracer would have gone left. She went right. She rolled the RNG dice in her movement and made it out alive, right? So for you, that's kind of like what you have to understand, is that a lot of your ability, this sounds really weird, but your ability to hit a shot is not totally within your control.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're the greatest, unless you are literally aim hacking, your ability to hit a shot is not totally within your control. It's not possible. There's too much latency between your brain, your eyes, and your hand that to change that. It's impossible. So you have to understand that. Okay, and then understanding that, you will expect this to happen. Even if you even disregarding your mentality and some days are good, some days are not, or I didn't sleep that well last night, or I've been a little bit inconsistent with my play, even disregarding all of those factors that tend to lead to these kind of slopes happening, these slopes will happen just based off of the nature of you're playing versus real humans too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the solution then? You find yourself right here. What's the goal?
I guess just like push past it and try to.
How do you push past it? I mean, I'm asking you a question that doesn't really have a solid answer, to be honest with you. I want you to think about it a little bit.
I guess you wouldn't worry about whether you're hitting shots or not.
Sure. Do you remember? You can go. I mean, I know you can remember. You remember this slope in Diamond, yeah? When you were in Diamond, this kind of stuff. You remember these slopes in Platinum, right? And in Gold, and when you first transitioned to PC and all that kind of stuff. You remember being like, "Bro, I'm never gonna get better," right? Sure, there were a lot of days like that, right? And yet here you are, you know?
Yeah.
So at this point, at some point in time, and I was having this conversation because you know what? Everything is like this. You know, life is like this. My coaching and content is like this. And there are days where I feel really discouraged, honestly, full honesty here, you know, but at some point I was chatting with a friend yesterday. I was like, at some point I have to like slap myself up the side of the head and be like, come on, I've seen this before. Why do I act like it's the first time every time, you know? Right. And so like you have to try to remind yourself that this is not the first time, nor will it be the last time that you see this. And it's okay to get discouraged. Like, I'm not exactly saying that you should celebrate every time you're here, but you should also know that like, it sucks right now, but I'm not wasting my time by practicing, because remember, I'm still practicing, right? It's still good. If you're feeling fat, flabby, and slow, but you take a walk and do some push-ups, it's still good for you. It's still the right thing to do. If you feel like I can't hit with garbage, it's still good to go into the game and get some games in and practice some reps. Even if you quote unquote lose SR, you still in the long run, that's what you need to do to gain SR, right? You could be practicing your positioning or just fighting through whatever the case may be. But what I'm not asking you to do is, what you shouldn't ask of yourself is not to get discouraged, but don't beat yourself up too much, because you know that in a couple of days you're going to be on the upswing again. And you also have to understand that you're getting to a point in time, and this is the real scary part for you, where, you know, if we extrapolate this to like a much bigger slope, right? This is the upward. This is what we want, right? You know, you see, like, we're going from here to here. This is Grandmaster, you know, but it's going to get harder and harder for you to do this, right? It's going to get tougher and tougher. The higher you go, I mean, when you're Diamond, you're good at the game. When you're Masters, you're great at the game. When you're GM, you're phenomenal at the game, right? Top 0.1, 0.5 or top 1%, I think. You're already like top 3 or 4% of the game right now. So you're going to have to push a little harder, a little bit more focused, a little bit better attitude, a little bit better mentality. And so basically, like, you're going to have to, at some point, things are going to get a little bit tougher, right? So you got to kind of decide, like, how much more of a push do I want to give it, you know?
Great.
Anyway, big thing for you. Expect the slumps. Do not compound upon the slumps by getting too upset and being surprised when things don't go well.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. The worst messages I ever receive as a coach are after a coaching session. I get these on YouTube sometimes. People will be like, yo, this coaching session was banger. After the session, I went on a 6-game win streak. And I'm like, bro, buckle in.
Yeah.
You know,
There's immediate
that
downfall.
basically had my coach. There's no way you could have possibly really dialed in and learned everything that we talked about in like one day, right? You might have been a little bit more confident, right, which got you on an upswing, but you're about to hit a wall. Get ready, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the thing is it's like it's hard, especially with the demographic that I work with. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, I'm 18 years old.
18
right
years old. So you're still relatively young. You're not a kid, but you're still relatively young. So
Right.
it's still you got to realize that like this is pretty much life in a nutshell. So
Yeah.
you gotta find a way to like really enjoy the highs, but don't get like upset over the lows. Okay.
I got you.
Long tangent aside, does that all make sense?
Yes. I do have one more question. Am I
Please.
able to? Can I stream this on Twitch to my friends?
Go for it.
I
Do it.
don't. All right.
In
Perfect.
fact, do me. I'll do you one better than that. Got me your Twitch link in the in your our DMs, and I'll plug it when we upload this.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no worries.
That's really cool. Let me get it up.
How often do you stream?
I started streaming like a couple of years ago. I think 3 years ago. I stopped. Because what I used to do is I used to stream like Call of Duty,
Yep.
and I was really getting into like making like montages and stuff,
Sick.
and I had a lot of fun with that. I don't really do that anymore. I just started back up streaming this past couple months, or not this, like this last week. Because I kind of like I've been watching a lot of Overwatch League recently, which I mean, not the best time, I guess.
I mean, it's still fun, you know.
Yeah,
The level of
I
play is still
really,
really high.
yeah, I really enjoy like watching. I don't know. I like watching the higher level of play, and it kind of fascinates me. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, kind of a dream of mine is to go pro, but like, I don't know.
For me, it's like even no matter what the case is with Overwatch League, it's like, hey, Pro Overwatch might still be around, and if not, I'm still like there's still an opportunity to like learn how to get good at anything. Like I'm telling you, like because I applied myself really hard to Overwatch and coaching Overwatch, I learned a ton of crap.
I got
So
you.
yeah. All right, let's take a look. Nice fall notification. That's hilarious.
Thank you.
That's hilarious.
I haven't changed
I
in
remember
so
when that
long.
meme first came out, dude. Me and my friends were watching that for like weeks. I think I've seen every single one of those. Super hot. All right. Training time. What's your training time looking like right now? Average day, average week.
All right. I would say I play Overwatch every day. Probably at least, I don't know, at the very least 3 games, at the most probably 10.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. It's definitely on the lower end. I think
Right.
for you it's like I wouldn't necessarily change too much, but at some point you're gonna reach a point where like you're gonna need to put in a little bit more time to continue to improve. So like small adjustments, major improvements. So for you, maybe that's saying okay, 10 games is I think a pretty good juicy number. What is that, like just over 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. That I don't think you need to play much more than that. So what I would do for your playtime, I wouldn't say play more than 2.5 hours. I would say have fewer days where you only play 3 games, or on your bare minimum days try to play 4 instead of 3 with full focus, full energy. I'm of the opinion that like generally less is more for a lot of folks. It's about being super focused during the games that you're playing.
I see.
So, but 3 is definitely on the lower end. But yeah, okay. I
do have a question with that.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Go ahead.
So with that, do you think it is bad to play like a lot, like over the 2 hours, or does it depend on your focus level at that time?
Depends on your focus level. I find most people, myself included, have like a 4-hour limit.
I gotcha.
Let's say a good night of sleep, I'm taking lots of breaks between cues. Like not even long breaks, just like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I got a lot of sleep. I've got a good mentality. I'm not getting tilted. Drinking my water. I touch some grass. I can squeeze out, at least in the past when I actually play the game, I could squeeze out 4 hours. Right.
Yep.
That was where I started to like really notice my like fatigue, and I wasn't focused. Not like I was losing games, but I was just like I wasn't really practicing. I was just kind of playing, 3 to 4 hours, right? That would be my goal. But that may shrink depending on if I didn't get as much sleep, if I'm getting tilted, if I'm distracted, if I had a lot on my mind that day. So just keep that in mind. And then on days where you were to play, like, let's say a lot of games, like I've talked with people that play 5, 6, 7 hours. But that's fine. Just make sure that like at least half of that or a decent chunk of that is you're just playing for fun, like queuing, quick play, off rolling, chilling, whatever. Your practice time really should never exceed 3.5 hours, maybe 4.
All right, yeah.
You could extend that to, and for you, it would be like, if your max is 10 games, the only way that you'd be able to extend that would be like making sure that you're taking breaks between queues and like evaluating your like ability to focus. Because if you keep forgetting what you're practicing on, then that's kind of a cue that you should probably take a break.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, makes sense?
Yep.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Got
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go on.
So do you think it's viable to practice my tracer in quick play? Like,
No,
because I have seen like,
not particularly, no.
okay,
Because your quick play MMR is going to be like one thing, and also people are just kind of like screwing around in quick play. I mean, let's put it this way: if you had no other option, sure. I just don't think it's the best option.
I gotcha.
If that's the only option
Okay.
that you have, sure, take it up. Better than nothing. You want to shoot me a coat?
Yes. So I have 2 here. I have one that I played one half as Cassidy and the other half as Ash, and then I have one that's just Cassidy.
Totally up to you. We can do a little bit of both. We can do half of the Cassidy, only focus on the Cassidy, the 1/2 game, and then jump from there to the other game. Depends how much time we got. Totally up to you.
All right. I think we'll start with Cassidy and Ash then.
Right on.
Be the key to it. All right.
What you mean?
That work.
Okay. I'm praying that this maintenance that they're doing today doesn't wipe codes. I had to message my next session to be like, yo, we might not be able to do our review today. I didn't realize that they had a maintenance on Thursday. Typical
I
Blizzard
did
stuff.
not either.
Yeah. Okay. See how it goes. We got you in. That's all that matters. Okay, so Cassidy is like a really interesting hero. I just coached some soldier yesterday, and it's the same kind of thing where it's like you're kind of a sniper, but also not really. Like you look at their composition, and you're like, I don't want to get too close to Echo unless I've got my sticky, right? I really don't want to get too close to Ramatra ever, right? But I don't want to like stay a million miles away from like Ana and Hanzo, and honestly to an extent Kiriko, because those guys are gonna like blow my head off, right? And then we can extrapolate that to like Tracer, Sombra, keep those guys at distance. Genji, keep that guy at distance. Widow, need to get close. Ash, get close. You kind of see what I'm saying, right? Where like, especially with that mag grenade, you have like a very dynamic, nuanced playstyle. And as Cassidy, as I'm sure you've learned, taking flanks rocks. It's awesome. It's really good. Sometimes it's really bad. So you got to be able to read the room. Couple of non-negotiables, obviously cover, crosshair placement, not just whiffing your mag grenade. I think those are all the things, and obviously having pretty good mechanics as well. Okay. Do you have any questions about Cass specifically before we jump in?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's see what we got. You were on the flank, no hesitation. I respect it. High risk, high reward.
Yep.
Now here's a question for you. When you take a big flank, what's the most important thing you should be thinking about? You're gonna get this one wrong.
Exit route.
Nope, not exit route. Sometimes it's because there is no exit route here, right?
Okay.
Does it make it a bad flank? Maybe, maybe not. Guess again. Guess wrong again, because I know you're gonna get it wrong. It's okay. I just want to make you think. I'm gonna ask questions that you may not have the answer to, because I want you to think.
Okay. The positioning of the other team.
Sure, that's definitely a very important one, right? I'll give you that one. That's probably the most important one. Screw it. We'll break the rules. Okay. The second most important thing you got to be considering is what the heck is my team doing? Because if this flank is going to work, you need this Ana to keep looking in the direction that she's looking, correct?
Right.
So what is forcing this Ana to look in this direction right now?
My team shooting their team.
Your team shooting her team. And if you were even a half of a second earlier here, this would probably fail, because she would have no need to be looking straight forward, because there would be nothing happening, right?
Right.
So one of the rules that I always talk about is the later the deeper the flank, the later the flank. If you take this angle at this point right now, but you were to do it like, let's say, even 5 seconds ago, and you were to go like right now and peek here, you would be absolutely cooked. Because even if you were able to get a shot off, these guys would immediately turn around and chase you down, and your team would just be sit there standing with their hands on their hips, right? Everything here. So here's a question. When do you pay attention to your team? Because right now it's too late. You've committed. So when should you have been aware of your team's positioning?
As I'm walking up the bridge.
As you're walking up the bridge. Like, you do a little check here. I think maybe you probably do this without even thinking about it a little bit. Like, okay, we're pushing. This is a good time to go. But like, it's a good reminder to make sure. Now, here's a question. Is it crucial to get the timing right of like an angle, like let's say here? Like, let's say you were to take an angle here. Would you need to have picture perfect timing for this flank here?
No.
Why not?
Because it's kind of a safer angle. You have a lot of natural cover.
Timing still matters here. You still wouldn't want to be by yourself necessarily, but you can get healing support. They can't really push you without your team helping you, and so on. And then obviously timing doesn't matter at all if you're standing behind a rain shield, because of course you're going to have good timing. You're with your team. So that's why timing matters, is because when you start to flank, it gets harder to know when to play with your team because you aren't actually with your team. That's the key thing. Okay, so I like this angle. It's high risk, high reward. Obviously, she's not 80-80 strafing you. One little thing I will say here is I know it's all about that mobility with the mag grenade. However, I do not want you to save it. Let's put it that way. Because how much damage does it do? Is it 75?
I think so. It's like one Cassidy shot. I know that.
Yeah, something like that. Let me check out the actual number here. 10 sticks, 70 explosion, so 80. If it sticks, okay, yeah, so 80 damage. All right. Don't animation. You always animation cancel this. I think it should be the goal. I know you're trying to line up that second shot here, but line up that mag grenade, because that is a shot. You know, that is 80 damage. That's more than a shot. I mean, it's not a headshot, but like right here, bang bang, throw that nade, right? But she dies. 100% dies. Let's see her HP. Oh, maybe not. I totally lied. No, she's got a Kiriko pocket. That's why. Either way, line it up. Don't wait until you're running away to throw the nade. You know, at that point it's just like meaningless. That being said, look at the chaos that she provided from this angle. On a nade, shot on a attention. Anzo's getting no healing. Ramacha's getting no healing. Kiriko's pocketing the Ana. You force the Ana to back up. Look at the space that you created. High risk, high reward, but you managed to preserve your life. And even though you choked mechanically, you actually created a lot of space. Look good. Where should you go?
Left.
Left.
Or
Why?
up top. They're focused on my team right on that corner. So that left, I'm imagining the healers are going to be playing like right in my sight lines, and the tank is not in my sight lines.
And what about the range? Is this a good range for you to play?
Yeah,
it's pretty
exactly
good.
How Cash should play. I think.
And would you be on time, or would you be early, or would you be late if you took this flank?
I'm gonna say late because it looks like the tank is starting to push back from this corner.
Yep.
Which would mean he's closer to me on this off angle. Is being late
okay?
Yes, if their team is like under enough pressure from our team.
Sure. Put it this way: remember, the greedier the flank, the later you can be. So you don't want to wait for you don't want your Rhine to die, but you don't mind being late if your flank is basically a throat punch, right? Like, okay, I took time to set up the flank. My Rhine basically died, but I'm gonna kill all of them now because of this flank, right? Okay, I think it's okay. Because you could stack with your team here and help, but you're not really gonna do very much, are you? Right?
No.
This, your Rhine sacrifice will not be in vain. You know?
Yeah.
Because you see the problem here, it's like, you know, you're doing fine damage, so it's a good stick and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, nothing really happened, right?
Right.
Nothing really happened. And honestly, there's also just as much of a chance, if not a greater chance, of you dying to Onanade, Kiriko headshot, Hanzo headshot, Storm Arrow suck, all because you're just, everybody's just shooting in one tiny little choke, right?
Yeah, I was I was caught in a bad position after this
I mean,
kill.
I guess so. It's a high risk, high reward, right? Like you might die, but you're sure that he's gonna die too, right? Like so, you know. And you even did your animation cancel there with a nade, right? You kind of fumbled it mechanically, but you know, I'm okay with that. I mean, honestly, it's fine. It felt like high risk, high reward. Like here's my thing with you. I want us to avoid high risk, low reward plays. You got me?
Okay.
If you can go into that and be like, I know I'm going to kill him and maybe I'll survive, that's okay for me. If there's not a better option available, I'm fine with that. I just want us to avoid the plays where like it makes no sense, you know? That play made sense. I would throw nade on that, maybe. Maybe not.
On Never Mantra.
Yeah, I think this fight's pretty much lost, but yeah. So maybe it doesn't matter that much. Alright, let's do it. Do it. You could have grabbed the health pack like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I know you're like so torn. You're like, do I go? Do I not?
Yeah.
High risk, high reward flank. Done late. Why is that Hanzo not looking at you? Because this. See that?
Yeah.
Funny how you pop off on a flank timed late. See me?
Okay, yeah.
And do you notice that you didn't even have to like 80-80 strafe that much? You could just kind of like chill. Why?
Yeah. I can just stand still and shoot.
Right. Nobody's looking at you. Use that nade. Don't save it.
Okay.
Nice job. That was great.
Thank you.
High risk, high reward. Low risk, low reward. What do you think here? Because you got options. What is the safe conservative option here?
I think either play on payload to like pump as much damage into that bridge as I can,
Sure.
or higher risk. Either go up top, which is I think what I do, or go in that right little like that little
Sure.
doorway to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have I have natural cover, and there's also a escape in the back.
You can also pop noon right here on top of the mega. Something to consider.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Again, high risk, high reward. But yeah, I'm down for either. You could do decent on both. This works too.
Yeah.
But you need to go right now. You need to go right now. Why?
Because they're starting their push in, and if I get on top of this bridge and they're already under the bridge, then I don't get anything.
See this?
Oh, because the Rhine is already in. Yeah, I don't think I noticed that at the time.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like when you play a selfish game, a solo carry game as a DPS. The irony is that you really need to be paying attention to what your team is doing. You don't have to do what they're doing, but you need to pay attention to what they're doing because their space is what you need. Their distraction is what you need. And if this high noon doesn't go now, your Rhine dies. Yep, there it is. Like, mate, this is a 3k high noon. I'm telling you, it's a 3k high noon if you see this. If you see this right here and you pop Q right here, that's a 3k. At least. I'm saying 3k because the Kiriko Suzu's herself. I promise you. You see what I'm saying?
What about Honest Sleep and Hanzo just shooting me in the head?
Of course it's a risk, yeah. But do you want to know where that Honest looking right now?
At the tank or her teammates.
You see this?
Yeah.
You see where that sleep dart went?
Into the tank.
Into the tank. That was heading into their backline. You know where that Hanzo's looking? You see it?
Yep.
Is it a risk? Of course it's a risk. But it's worth it.
I see. Yeah.
What are you gonna? And even if she didn't use sleep dart, she's gonna have to flick her crosshair all the way around and land the sleep dart. You know, and even a Grandmaster Ana might not do that one in time. So I want everything that you do. Nice. I mean, by the way, do you notice that even though you didn't do it timed right, you still benefited from your Reinhardt feeding, right? Because there was no sleep dart there. Nice. Good composure. That's stressful, isn't it? You know, when you choke a little bit and you're like, crap. You're like, nope, I'm good. I got this. Movement was really good there. Nice shot.
Thank you.
But it should have been at 4K.
Right.
That's the best coaching I could provide. Nice 2K. Should have been at 4K. Alrighty here. So you look at their composition. What do you think about their composition? What range do you want to play versus these guys?
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say mid. I solely because of the Ramatra, and I wouldn't say long because of the Ash and Soldier. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of if I play long, I'm gonna suffer to the Ash.
Sure
But
are.
if I play short, I'm gonna get just bum rushed by the Ramatra most likely.
It's a bit of a trick question because the thing is like, what if that soldier's a tracer? You know what I'm saying? What if that
Yeah.
soldier's a reaper? What I want you to think about is don't think about it as like a myopic, one-dimensional question. You want to
Mm-hmm.
play short range versus the back line, long range versus the front line. How do you do
Okay.
that? Let's not even ask the theoretical question. Like let's see where this Ramatra goes. Okay, right here. Where is short range onto the back line, long range onto the front line for you? Kind of funny because you're doing it right now.
Right. So that would be short range on the back line. Yeah, and I guess long range on would that
It
be
it wouldn't
long range
necessarily
on
be
the tank?
long range on the front line, but Ramatra can't reach you. You see
Right.
that? So
Yeah.
it's just as good, right? That's the key thing here, right? Now, obviously, the Ash position is a little hairy, right?
Yeah.
We wish that wasn't there, but this is good. The idea here is good. Avoid that tank. Get up close to those squishies. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this was like, let's say, a Reaper Tracer comp, where would you be? Would this position
Um.
necessarily be bad? Maybe not.
Yeah, but my team might get run down. I think I would probably be on the lower level, right where my healers are, or kind of maybe in front of them a little bit.
So you have a sight line onto the Reaper Tracer, something like that.
Yeah, like a little in front of the Kiriko,
Sure.
or
Maybe even like up here, where you can kind of keep your
yeah,
distance from the Reaper Tracer, make them like have to extend to reach you, but you can still get healed
right.
by your team. Maybe here it's too easy for like a Tracer to isolate you, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Something to consider. Something to consider. All right, let's play this out. I like that we're taking position though. Our Rhine is N, so therefore we are N. Got me?
Mm-hmm.
Much better.
Huh. Wow, that was something. Okay. Unfortunately, we kind of fumbled the bag in the Ash here. What's the
Yeah.
mistake right here? Micro error.
Um, I want to say it's that, like you said before, I didn't throw the grenade first, but
Yes.
I don't think
Well, okay,
that's
not
it.
the grenade first. No. It's 1-2.
Oh, shoot grenade and then shoot
Shoot
more.
grenade shoot. Yeah, shoot
I see.
grenade shoot. Just a slightly faster combo. The only reason you would not use your grenade here is why.
Um,
What does your grenade do?
it stops movement abilities.
There's a tracer on the enemy team. What do you do with your grenade when you do this flank?
Save it.
Save it, right? Winston, Diva, anything that can chase you or punish you for taking this flank, maybe it's better to hold on to it to kind of keep them at bay. You got me?
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
there anything that you need to be saving grenade for right now?
No.
No, so don't use it. Or excuse me, do use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use it as part of your combo. The other thing I want to point out from a micro standpoint, what is the mistake here? And I'm going to give you a hint. We'll slow it down. Watch.
That I don't go for the soldier.
Nope, Anna's fine. Watch your movement here.
Oh.
Much better.
Who are you juking?
Okay. Nobody.
Nobody, right? Some of the best
Yeah.
players in the world know how to make their shots easy.
Right.
Stand still. At least for the first shot or two. Because there's nobody's looking at you. Take the first couple of shots.
Okay.
Because that Ana should die. There's no excuse for that Ana living. Part of it is you should have hit the shot. Part of it is you made the shot way too hard.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
And that is one of those techs. I wouldn't say it's a tech, but like it's one of those details that you really, really have to be able to do with this hero. find those moments of like pause time, brief pause. You know, they don't see me.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be standing still. It could be a strafe, but it's a nice, slow, smooth strafe, right? Not a jerky back and forth 80-80, you know, foolishness. You can't be here. You can't be here. You can't be here. Yeah, you can't be here. This is just too far out in the open, right? Just the boxes, or take the opportunity to retake high ground, something like that. Remember, cover doesn't get you one shot or prevent you from being one shot. It prevents you from being 2 shot and 3 shot, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, let's keep going. You have any questions so far?
Oh yeah, I think your video was, what was it, yesterday? You were talking with someone about dynamic positioning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I heard of that. I mean, maybe I do it like you were talking about how this guy was doing it without even noticing.
Yep.
I was wondering, like, I don't know, I had some questions about that. I guess it's what it is.
You're dynamically positioning right now and you don't even know it. What happens if this Ramacha goes up the stairs? Where do you position?
Like when I'm there and he walks up the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Let's say you were here, and my man just doesn't drop and looks at you. What do you do?
Probably, I guess, just back up either right or left.
Mm-hmm. You'd have to drop, right? You'd have to rotate away. He gives up the position, so you know everybody is here. You're dynamically positioning. Dynamic positioning, as simply as I can put it, is you know the strengths of your hero, how you want to position, right? What sight lines you want to take. And then you go, this is where the enemy team is, therefore this is where I will go.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You know the enemy team is on the floor, so therefore you push out here. If the enemy team was stacked here, you wouldn't do this, right? That's the simplest way I can put it. You take an angle because of what the enemy team gives you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, is if you want to practice your dynamic position, because it is a very important thing to practice thinking, not thinking, but paying attention to where the enemy team is and adjust your positioning accordingly. Like right now, like let's say right now, okay, where's the enemy team right now?
All down that choke.
All down this choke, so where could you go? You got a couple options.
Okay, so I can go where our echo is right now.
Sure
and
could.
play that
Right? Totally free.
Cover.
Yep. Where else?
I could go right. It's a little risky since they could probably flush me out pretty quick.
Sure could, but it's an option, right? Because most of their attention is where?
On the Reinhardt.
Right here. Right here. Right in this big chunk right here, right? So this is theoretically open. You could also back out this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were like, you know, well, this is not that good of a position because it peaks, you know, down to they'll shoot me, right? But maybe it works here given where they're positioned, right? And a lot of people will tell you like this flank is Cassidy's really good, but this flank makes 0 sense given where they are right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly like a revolutionary concept, dynamic positioning. It's just a simpler way of thinking about it. Like right now, your positioning sucks, respectfully. Like it sucks because it doesn't make any sense with what's on your screen right now. And the problem with that is this is a decision that you should have been making right now, not when the Kitsune rush happened. You should have already been thinking about, okay, they're all there. Where should I be? Right? You should already been leaning left, already been leaning right. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nice shots, I guess. Again, sticky. You see this? So, use it. Right now.
Yep.
You know? Free damage. Okay. Good shot. Good. Dynamically position. What flank should you take right now with what you see on your screen?
I'm gonna go left because it's
Takes too
just
long.
Soldier.
Takes too long.
I guess right then.
Sure. Now you
Ladder
see the
healer.
soldier on left, so what does that mean about right?
Soldier is not right.
Right. You see that? So that means that right is a little bit more exposed. You kind of see
Okay.
what I'm saying? This is dynamic
Yeah.
positioning. That's all it is. So you know that if I peek right, then I'm going to see a support. I know I'm going to. So do it. Check it out. You see me? You got me?
Yeah.
You win
Yeah,
this
yeah.
duel. Just lazy. And now I'm scared.
Yeah.
You see that? Look at how much pressure that Kiriko gets. Totally forces your Ana, your Kiriko to turn around, your Zen to turn around, forces your Echo out, and meanwhile, you're playing games, doing jack all.
Yeah.
GG's. You got the tech though, so that's all that matters. You get that high noon reload, you are instantly masters. That's how that works. Only the cool kids do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dynamically positioned. I mean, seriously, look at their Ramatra. What angles are open here? You hear, okay, so you hear the Kiriko above you. You see the front line here. So what's available to you now? Not just one thing. There's a couple of things.
The right. I guess the right side, like right in there.
What else?
Up on the bridge where
Yeah.
Echo is, or
You're not going to worry about a Ramatra here, right? So you could go up here.
Yeah.
What else?
To the left up the stairs.
Totally
the
free.
next
There's
row
literally
is.
nobody here. And you can predict that based off of what you see on your screen. I
Okay.
wouldn't necessarily dry open on this flank. It's a good way to get yourself smoked, right? But based off
Yeah.
of what you can see on your screen, this is dynamic position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you kind of see why we talk about like the 3-4 hour rule for grinding the game, because you really have to pay attention to be able to make this decision. And if you don't, then this kind of crap's gonna happen, right?
Mhm.
Where you're gonna do nothing, see nothing, feel nothing. Not the greatest of all time. Nice shots. A great grenade, though. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Alright, you're dead. Okay. Again, you see it. Kiriko healing from the right. Ramatra, Torbjorn just ran for his life this direction. You know what's open here, right? Again, same options. You could do really anything here. Going main would be the worst. I would go left probably, but I'm thinking, is that Torbjorn going to be here? I'm going to listen, right? Ooh, can I clear this Kiriko out here? You know what I'm saying? These are the thoughts that need to be going through your head. Nice. I wonder why this works. You see it?
Yeah.
See your team?
Yeah.
There it is. No counterplay to that. I mean, there is,
Right.
but not really. You just won your team this fight. I think. Surely. Come on. That's great. Nice job. Come on. Don't get brainless here. Don't get brainless here. Oh no. You had the opportunity to take the flank on the right, maybe. Oh man, now you're grandmaster after that one. That's huge. Maybe you get out here. Maybe. Nice nade. Maybe. Now you know they're gonna be on cart. You can see it. So where should you be?
Right or left?
Right or left? Right. Left maybe takes too long. Right's available. Maybe here it is. Check it. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go off of your ball. Your ball's going in now. There it is, right? Okay, so ball boops. Holy mackerel, right? You could even force Nemesis form and kite away, or clear out left.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go left. A little early because your ball wasn't in yet, but he might die. Small detail. Remember the micro here? What's the mistake? Watch it.
Oh, yeah. I don't have to move here.
Correct. At least for the first 2 shots, you don't have to move.
Right. Because then he turns around and sees me.
then he lives. Look at that. That's a fight losing mistake right there. Okay. Unfortunate. Let's stop there. What are you seeing so far?
I'm seeing a lot that, like, I see a lot that I really don't see when I'm in the game, but then, like, I mean, obviously that is the case. There's a lot of times where I don't see positions that are open instead of just like rushing it down main.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm taking flanks on the a little bit late.
Okay. So what are the skills that you need to practice? What are the habits that you needed to improve, develop? Not just, oh, I need to take more flanks. Okay, well then, what's the
Right.
base issue here? You know, what needs to be practiced?
I think probably just awareness of the other team and like what they see.
Right. Build the habit of awareness of where the enemy team is positioned. When should you do that? At what point in the fight?
When should I take a flank?
Or when should you be aware of where the enemy team is?
I guess when my team is pushing up.
Sure. Right before the fight starts, right?
Yeah.
All right. Then what's the next step? So you've practiced the habit of being aware of where the enemy team is. That's the most important thing. In fact, you called that, right? That was one of the first things we talked about. Where is the enemy team? Okay. Now what? How do you execute? Do you take an angle? Do you take a flank? Do you stay with your team? You kind of see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you have a couple options to pick from.
Choose your position or flank accordingly.
Okay.
Dynamic position. So practice, I see them. I choose the position or angle or flank accordingly. And then, let's say it's a flank. If a flank or angle, then when do you take that flank or angle? When do you actually execute on it?
Right.
What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for either my team to push up, put some pressure, or the other team to be focusing
Sure.
on their front line.
Around
Be
the
distracted,
fight
I guess.
starting, your team being a little late isn't bad. And this right here is like, it's not just a Cassidy fundamental. This is just DPS in a nutshell, right?
Right.
That's it. There's your 3-step. Where is the enemy team? What's a good angle or flank that I can take, even if it's with my team, and then time it appropriately. All right. Now, in terms of micro, what are some habits that you can improve on with your Cassidy? Cooldown usage, positioning, movement, and so on.
I'm gonna say probably movement.
Movement. What about your movement?
Specifically in those that 80 strafe, specifically when like nobody's looking at me.
Nobody is looking. Take 1 or 2 shots without movement. Build this habit. What else? What about your nade?
Use that shot grenade shot combo more
Combo
on unexpecting enemies, I guess. I don't know.
with shots faster when not needing to save it for mobile.
Oh yeah, okay.
Purposes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, to defend versus Winstons and Tracers and Genjis that might try to punish you afterward. Right. Anything else that stands out to you? This is the big 3, right? Those are the 2 micros and the big 1 that's like 3 steps rolled into 1. Anything else that stands out?
I did see that stood out like on that last fight of Rialto. I guess when the fight kind of starts to ramp up in that last like 30 seconds, like the last fight, like my knowledge just like it just I don't know, leaves my brain. All I think about is I don't know, I guess my brain is fogged by the intensity of the fight.
Yeah.
That I'm not thinking as critically as when I have, 5 minutes to push the payload.
Sure. I got you. So here's the solution to that. Keep practicing under those circumstances and also don't worry about it. when you're on that much pressure in the middle of a firefight, most people, really pretty much everybody, doesn't like think. Nobody thinks perfectly in those moments. So what you do is you know how like go to school and they have like the fire drill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where like everybody practices the fire drill so that when a fire happens, what do you not have to do?
Freak out.
You don't have to freak out. You don't have to think. You just act.
You just
because the steps have already been planned out for you. That's why when we're talking about the thinking happens right before the fight starts. Where is the enemy team? Where is my team? What angle should I take? And then once I time that flanker angle correctly, my brain turns off and I rely on my instincts.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Now you can.
Okay,
Now, if you're practicing something like movement with micro, you might have to try to keep your brain on mid-fight. But if you're focusing on your positioning and target priority, then it's actually more important that you set the stage and then let your instincts and your animal nature take over.
Yeah.
And then you'll do the more correct thing appropriately. Some of the last fights were messy because you weren't even picking a good position, so it got extra chaotic. That's the other nice thing about angles and flanks. There's fewer things on your screen. It feels a lot more fluid, a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't worry as much about that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I did have a question. I saw, I don't know if you know, there's this Overwatch player. His name is Birdie the Cow on TikTok.
Not
You've
familiar
probably
with
never seen him,
TikTokers as
but,
much, sadly, which is ironic because
oh,
I'm
that's
on
okay.
TikTok. But yeah, it is what it is. But
One thing, a video popped up from him. He said that,
what's his name again?
Birdie the Cow.
Birdie
I can link you.
Birdie
It's
the
like
Cow. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. I think I found him.
So one of it, I think it was a recent one. He says that like he was saying like how he gets better at games, like he kind of does the aggressive positioning and then learns from his mistakes afterwards.
Yes.
Like he just learns from himself. Like he doesn't need anybody else to point out his mistakes, kind of thing.
Limit testing, stress testing, trial and
Yeah.
error.
So
yeah.
I was wondering like how do I think like how do you have any tips for me to find my mistakes and to correct them like correctly, I guess?
Sure. No, I mean, I think one of the things that you need to do is here's a question: is there a way that you can? How do you use high noon and masters? What can you get away with high noon flanks? Do you know?
Not really. Mostly.
Okay, so stop right there. Stop right there.
Okay.
Find out.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, it's that simple, right?
Yeah.
How do you, when can you use magnetic grenade and when should you save it? Now, we kind of gave you the answer for that one theoretically, but maybe I'm not 100% right. Go find out. So don't be vague with it. Be very specific about what you're trying to limit test and figure out, because otherwise it can be a little bit overwhelming and it just leads to sloppy play. But for example, how many deep angles and flanks can you take with Cassidy versus a dive composition? Can you flank versus Tracer? When can you and when can't you? Where can you? Find the answers to these questions. It's a good mindset to have. Doesn't mean that feedback can't be helpful, that people can't kind of accelerate you ahead of the game because they've already done the trial and error for you. But I think in general, only relying on coaches and feedback is bad. You need to be able to coach yourself. And that takes
I think that's something I struggle with, like seeing and correcting my mistakes on my own.
Well, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Start slow, start small, and build up your ability to do it through practice, like anything else. Because that's gonna that's one of those things that like that's not just a good Overwatch skill, that's a good life skill.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Good luck. Keep in touch.